Ashley Smith. I'm here in Ottawa, Ontario, to bring attention to the institutionalized systemic child abuse that's happening in Canada. I'm here from British Columbia. I'm here for my children and other children alike. Currently, our system is brutally failing our kids when it comes to sexual abuse. The systems we have in place that are supposed to do something about these things are not. We have a violation of charter rights in the child protection system. There's an irony to this, that the detection and the action of child abuse, when you're in these issues, they say it takes years to gather the evidence. It takes years to have a court do anything about it while the children are being abused. And yet we have a child protection system that can come in and take your children without warrant, without evidence, without having to prove anything, because they feel they need to be protected. And yet you can have evidence that the children need to be protected and nobody raises a finger. The abusers in the system currently are colluding to continue to harm victims and people speaking out about injustice. You have the right to be confronted with the witnesses against you. You have the right to be informed with what crime you've been accused of. You have the right to call witnesses in your favor. You have the right to a speedy and public trial. You have the right to the freedom of speech. The ministry and the police are actively silencing women who have experienced abuse and children to keep this information from you, the public, of how systemic this issue really is. You have the right to life, liberty, and property to not be taken from you without process of law. They're not following those rights. And you have the right to not have to experience cruel and unusual punishment. But that seems to be the first thing that they go to if there's something that they don't want other people to know.
Where are your children right at this moment?
My children have been stolen from me and actively handed to an abuser and the abuser's family because they refused to do a proper investigation.
Did the police investigate your complaints of sexual abuse
No,
by
they
this
did
person?
not.
Did the court investigate and look at your evidence you presented?
They refused to accept evidence from credible experts in fields of counseling, psychology, and behavior and sexual abuse. They just disregard that evidence.
And what about the Ministry of Child and Family Development? Did they investigate your complaints?
Not only did they not investigate, but they went around telling people that I was crazy, so they would not help me any further with my children, and they actively shut down investigations.
So why Ottawa? Why have you come to Ottawa?
The provincial governments and their family court, it's a kangaroo court. There is no justice, there is no rights. Someone needs to step up. Someone needs to recognize that there's a problem here. There are children in danger. Something like 80% of the prisons are full of people that came from the streets that were in child protection.
And what about homelessness?
Same with homelessness.
200 times more likely to be homeless if you came from the so-called child care system.
We are failing our children big time, and it's time that we do something about it.
Who is supposed to be providing the protection?
The federal government, they have exclusive jurisdiction over protection.
What section? What section is that?
9127 of our Constitution. Canada has a Constitution.
So your action of coming to Ottawa was directed to the federal court?
In a free society, it is the government's responsibility to protect those who cannot protect themselves, whether they are sick, whether they are old, whether they are abused, whether they are children. The government is not doing it. They have allowed the provincial governments to take over and not be accountable, not be responsible, and the ones who are suffering are the children. We wonder why we have so many mental health issues coming up in this country. We wonder why we're having all of these mass shootings all over the world.
And specifically, what do you want your court decision to hold?
I'm asking that my children be returned to me immediately, and that a proper investigation take place, and all parties who have played a part in this are held accountable. But I'm also asking that the protection and the immediate needs of protection of children are given in responsibility under the criminal code to the police. We cannot willy-nilly take children away because there are dishes in the sink, or we heard from somebody who heard from somebody. That's not evidence, that's not proof. We are harming mothers and families and children. It's not just mothers. The family courts are doing no service to fathers either. But I'm focused on this issue because this is my personal experience.
So you want the federal government to step up and take its responsibility serious in regard to their constitutional obligation.
I want accountability and responsibility returned. And if they're not willing to do that job and protect the public, then they are no longer the government.
Thank you very much, Ashley.
Thank you.
So I only got